Virgo.
Hello Virgos and Happy New Year 2013. We're going to be checking your forecast to see what January is going to be bringing to you. And I'd like to start out with your crowded house. And I have to say, crowded in the 5th house means a lot of love issues. Love and also children. It could also be hobbies and whatever interests you have. It's the fun house. But relationships I see is going to play a major role for you. Virgos this month and in times to come, because you also have your Pluto there, and that's a long-lasting transit. So this is where you're going to be transforming and becoming the new you over the years. So if you haven't heard my forecast for 2013 in general for all the signs, you might want to listen to that afterwards, because I go into more depth on those outer planets, which are long-lasting, long-transiting, and they're the ones that sets up the new norms and trends for each of us. So we're going to start off here in January, and you will have both the Sun and the Moon and Mercury and Venus and Pluto in your sign. No, not in your sign, in your 5th house. And so this is really setting you up for expressing yourself, coming out to play. You're normally such a hard worker, Virgo, and we know how you pay attention to all details and try to stay on top of things and your schedule and all that. But it's time to throw that to the winds. January should be actually your vacation month, where you can benefit the most from. Also within communications, I see communication with your partner or your spouse. It's going to be quite important this month. We have a couple of dates we'd like to focus on where that communication can be very deep and transformative, and there's other dates you want to be a little careful to kind of just maybe postpone more important issues, so that doesn't kind of, so you don't butt heads. But this month is definitely going to be showing up, and especially when we come a little later out in January, when Venus joins the crowd. And that's when you're really going to have fun. So we'll get back to that. Let's just look at these longer transits right now that's setting you up for, what should I say, the groundwork or the foundation of where you're operating from. I'll start with your Saturn, which is now currently in your 3rd house, which is communication. It's short distance travel. It has to do with neighbors, anything, relatives as well. There might be some added pressure or also responsibilities coming in between you and a neighbor or you and some relative. You might feel a little restricted to go on shorter trips, which you probably from time to time like to just jump in the car and go. Well, Saturn's going to be holding you in place. Anything with communication, I see this is where you're focusing now. You're harnessing those energies. How can you communicate better? Normally you're a good communicator because you are ruled by Mercury, but with Saturn there, you may feel it like a constriction, okay, restriction. You've just come out of the 2nd house of finances with that Saturn, where you had to balance your accounts, what's coming in, what's going out, and had to balance people, places, relationships. Might have been a lot of stress for you, but you're out of that now. Saturn kind of moved into this 3rd house here a few months ago. So some of that pressure might have lifted, but it's shifted. Now it's here. Now you got to deal with this. And so coming out of having to balance those relationships, now it's all about how do you communicate? And how can you communicate differently? How can you harness the best of your communicative skills? And where do you need to restrict it? 3rd house is sounds, it's what we hear. It's very audible, and maybe there's too much sounds going on, which might cause a conflict and where you might have to hold back on some of that, which could be perceived as noise. We have white noise in the background, and that might create some conflict. But for you, it's all looking at where can you bring out the sound and how can you perfect it and how can you make it beautiful. You want beautiful sounds. Now, Saturn is in Scorpio in this third house. So it's all about also how you communicate with your partners and people around you. How can you be authentic? How can you be more spiritual maybe and bring that out? A lot of you are spiritual because you are the opposite sign of Pisces. So you're kind of like, you connect in on that axis. In order to be a full sun sign, we have to incorporate our opposite sign in order to be whole. If not, we create shadow sides of our personality. So a lot of you have already incorporated naturally your opposite sign of being Pisces. Those of you who haven't, and fully just focus on your Virgo sign, on being very organized and very labeled, and you know how you guys can be when you get to that. This Saturn might ask you to look at that and how can we loosen up and how can we go deeper, how can we implement a little bit more of this inner being that's, you know, the little voice in your head, your intuition and your inspirations and whatnot. Especially now because we also see that Neptune, big factor in your life. You got a touch of this last year when Neptune entered Pisces. That would be your 7th house, where things just felt either in a total dream state and bliss, and where it's like outer worldly love coming in, which is that Neptune. For others, it could have created, and still creating, a sense of disorientation and where things are dissolving and feeling like suddenly lost in space, which Neptune can do when it initiates into a new sign or a new house. But what it's doing is trying to dissolve those types of relationships that you've had in the past, okay? Because they may have served you earlier, back then, but for you now, it's more about how can you tune into an ideal partnership, an ideal marriage. Then again, I have to warn that you have to be quite spiritual to actually see and, which I say, detect in your partner that he or she actually is, in fact, that. The spiritual reflection of this soulmate or this twin flame, that it's not a projection of your own ideals onto the partner. Because if that is so, that you're just hoping he or she is this or that, you might be setting yourself up for a series of disappointments over these next coming years, because this Neptune is going to be there for a long time. And by the end of this transit, you will feel that you have changed and you have learned how to discern what is real and what is wishful thinking. If you are in tune with your Neptune from earlier, you won't have a problem in this transition. Those of you needing to learn it, well, just open your eyes and try to be realistic at the same time that you're kind of still embedding that ideal partner there that you wish to attract. And you can just have the most blissful partnership or marriage in years to come. So you have a lot to look forward to. You just want to be on your toes and you want to read up about Neptune. Neptune in the 7th house, Neptune in Pisces. For you Virgos, read about it, okay? Then we'll jump ahead to your finances. They are, you have Uranus in the 8th house, and okay, what will that do? It's all about things coming and going, and both expected and unexpectedly. You might feel, because it's not your own personal earnings, which is the 2nd house. This is maybe money that's owed to you by the government or from mortgages or insurance companies or royalties, commissions, and whatnot. You may see, this is also long-term transit. It's going to be there for quite a while. So you might see how this is going to fluctuate over the next couple of years. Suddenly you might find yourself having a lot of money and then the next moment none. You might luck out and win a jackpot. You know, this is what Uranus can do. And then also it can wipe away what you do have. So you have to pay a little extra attention to how you're managing that money. And if you have any settlements coming in, you want to structure it so it can secure you even under unsecure times or periods ahead. Also what it's doing, Uranus in the 8th house, which is a Scorpio house of intimacy and love and relationships as well, and sexuality. You might be experimenting a whole lot more and using other facets of your diamond and figuring new ways to express that sexuality. So anything Uranian, you can be doing the Kama Sutra might come in. You'll see, you'll explore. It's going to be exciting. And then also we have your career house, where you're blessed, I have to say, because every once in 12 years you will have a visit of Jupiter, and this is what you have in your 10th house. It started here in last year, 2012, and so you might have felt that something opened up and that finally here's some abundance and harvest time coming in, only to see that suddenly it was gone again. And that was only due to Jupiter turning retrograde. So it's kind of like turning off the faucet. But don't despair, because this month we'll see that it's going to turn direct again. And that will allow you to feel that abundance is going to come back in to your career field. Whether you are employed or whether you're self-employed, this is the time for you to really reach out there and expand what you can and harvest what you've been working for the last 14 years. No, the last, 6 years. And this is coming to fruition now. The most successful areas where you can do this expansion is within the fields of communication. Your 10th house is flanked by Gemini, which is communication. So whether it is through the net or blogs or giving speeches or talks and workshops, all of those things can sort in under you, where you can find your little pot at the end of the rainbow. Then we have some dates that we want to look at, especially starting off here early in the month, which is going to be quite powerful for you. And it is in your 5th house of, once again, love and joy and hobbies and fun stuff. It's recreational time. So you might be meeting up with friends also to go and have great times. But there is, on the 6th, we have Mercury and Pluto conjunct. So any kind of talk that you're going to have with your lover, 5th house rules lovers and 7th house rules marriage partners. I see that being very deep and committed and really peeling some layers. There might have been some thoughts that you've been having, or he or she may have been having and holding, and now is the time to bring it out. And don't step back from it, because why? It's when we can tear off some of that dead weight, some of these layers. We get into the core of this onion, this inner self of who we really are, where we can feel that we're stripped down and vulnerable, but real. And so out of it can come a lot of new understanding and new foundations to work from. I'm seeing that Mercury is also going to be touching on some old wounds, perhaps. So it's a time where you can heal them by bringing them up and then letting them go. On the 3rd too, I forgot to mention that, on the 3rd we're going to have a Mars and Jupiter trine, where I see a lot of activity and action. This is your Mars nature, wanting to get out and about and outdoors, maybe because it is Jupiter, and Jupiter loves the outdoors and sporting and hiking and or out fishing or something. Well, it's not really the ocean, it's not Neptune, but still, again, where you can go out and do some fun, a gaming type of aspect, as well as it is a good time to start any new avenues of work, projects, Mars initiated projects. I see that you'll have this big boost of extra energy coming in that will be supportive. On the 7th is not a good day to do too much. Be careful a little bit. Power tools and such. Mars Saturn in a square. Yeah, it also rules your bones, and teeth, and so just be careful. Don't do anything too big there on the 7th. That will pass over the next couple of days. It might just be that your energy is so high that you're not really paying attention. Then here's Saturn doing something. It could also be a disagreement, or where you're not seeing eye to eye with a boss or a superior or some higher up authority. Then we have a good day for romance, which is on the 9th and 10th, where Venus will conjunct with Neptune, and that is just the starry-eyed, dreamy type of lovey-dovey, fuzzy, warm romance. If you are looking for somebody new, these are definitely the dates you want to go out and socialize, because you will radiate, you will shine, that this inner beauty will definitely come out, this otherworldly type of beauty. So very, very nice night for any kind of romance. Also, I have to say, for those of you who work in fashion, it's a great day to do design work. Then we have the new moon on the 11th, which is always a wonderful time of bringing up new ideas and sowing your seeds for the coming month. Of course, harvest time is at full moon, so you have 14 days following the 11th, where you can see that these seeds, whatever it is you're going to be sowing, how they can take on shape and form and grow and expand. So make sure that your intentions are set out there on the 11th. Some of you might make a little check to yourself, which I've mentioned on some of these other tubes. Write out a check to yourself from the law of the universe, and post it, and then you just tear it up by full moon and see what comes in. You can set any amount, or you can leave it open, or you can write to be paid in full. But sometimes these things, it helps, because it kind of energizes that law of attraction. You put it out there that you're expecting the universe to be abundant. Well, that's what writing that check is all about. Then we have a little day to be a little careful of, which is Venus and Uranus. If you're feeling that somebody's trying to constrict you maybe on that day, or want you to do something laborious, Venus wants to kind of take off and just relax, or do something that they would like to do, in their own leisure time. So there might be a little budding of energies. That's also fast moving, so it's not going to stick around too long. If there's any arguments or disagreements coming up there on this date, on the 12th or 13th, I see it being resolved shortly thereafter, just 2 days after. When we come to the 14th, 15th, I see that, you guys are going to be good to go. Then we have Mercury and the Sun, so any contracts or anything, communication, important new starts of any ventures that requires any written things. That's a good day to do there on the 17th and 18th. As we see throughout that later time is when the Sun sextiles your Uranus, you may get some unexpected news for whatever you initiated on that day. It may come back to you here in surprising ways. So the 24th, you want to mark on your calendar for an exciting day, whatever that will bring. Any kind of heated discussions or anything, you be a little aware on the 25th, not too good of energies, especially if it has to do with any legals or any authorities, or it could be with co-workers or bosses. Not the best day to engage into anything. Be the observer. That's okay. Be the observer, and then come in with what you have taken from it in a couple of days thereafter. This way, you know how to fly under the radar and not get involved in some group energy, whatever. That may not be too good. And then I just want to end it off with the 30th there, when Jupiter, this planet of abundance, which you have in your 10th house of career, is going to kick back into gear. It's going to start turning direct, and then you'll start seeing how the year is just going to start unfolding right off the bat, where you're going to feel that all good key figures and supporters, they're going to be there for you, and you will be moving ahead and expanding in your field. So I want to thank you for listening in, and do subscribe if you want to have your coming monthly scopes sent to you when they are done. And for now, see you next time.